Such a clean sound. Oh, hey, Christian Whitehead. And Blit. No idea who Blit is. Alright, here's a game that I was actually looking forward to playing, Sonic CD. Oddly enough, not my most favorite Sonic game, but this game holds a lot of significance. See, the version that I'm playing right here is the remastered version of Sonic CD, a game that was completely rebuilt from scratch, using the retro engine created by Christian Whitehead, better known as the Taxman. This is important to know because this same retro engine, the engine that allows gameplay to follow closely to that of the same physics gameplay that we know and love from the old Sonic games. This is the same retro engine that is being used for the development of Sonic Mania. So if you want to know a lot about Sonic Mania, if you want to know more about Sonic Mania, you best know about this game, or at least the remastered version. Alright, so let's not waste too much time. Let's actually get to playing this game. But first, let me make sure, yes indeed, I have the Japanese soundtrack on. Now, I got nothing against the US soundtrack. In fact, I like the US soundtrack, but let's be perfectly honest here. If we were to put the Japanese audio and the American audio side by side, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to prefer the Japanese soundtrack. And why wouldn't you? The Japanese audio is just so damn cool. It's got so much style, so much flair. It definitely embodies the 90s. Meanwhile, the American soundtrack is more experimental in the soft rock department. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not too fitting for a Sonic game, in my opinion. However, the only real reason you would want to play the US soundtrack would be if you want to listen to Sonic Boom in the introduction. It's too bad there's no customization here. Like, it would have been a great idea to allow players to pick out which stage to play which song depending on the region difference. That way I would just be like, hey, let me put Sonic Boom as the introduction, I'm good. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. At the very least, I still think it was fantastic that Sega was actually able to get both soundtracks here in one package. Alright, so now let's not waste too much time. Let's get to playing this game. I'm going to delete this one, because I already have the other two somewhat completed. Let's get going. Oh, but we gotta watch this animation first. I love this animation. It's really too bad we don't get a lot of this kind of introduction. The only other game to do like a really cool animation introduction is Sonic Riders, and that was done by Production IG. But this one in particular was done by Toei Animation. You know that company, they're the ones that did Dragon Ball Z. Isn't that pretty cool? I think it's pretty cool. But this animation is awesome. You get to see Sonic, or classic Sonic, at his finest, looking cute and rad at the same time. And hey, if you want to see more of this, there's also that Sonic OVA, which I adore. I actually still have the VHS tape somewhere in my room. I believe it's in my closet. Now, even though Sega did try to keep the soundtrack from the Japanese soundtrack intact, there were some minor changes that were done. For one thing, the introduction for this song had to have the lyrics removed, which is a shame, really, because I love the lyrics. I mean, the female lead singing the melody, and the guy singing backup, rapping the part. It couldn't get any more 90s if you tried. But no, this song is still pretty good. I love it. And off to Little Planet. Palm Tree Panic. I love that peel out animation. So where do I begin? Alright, a little history between me and Sonic CD. I first learned about Sonic CD at an electronics store. Before there was Best Buy and before I knew about BrandsMart, there was one electronics store that sadly no longer exists today called Incredible Universe. Incredible Universe was basically a showcase electronics store where, sort of like BrandsMart, they would have a lot of these devices and stuff out in the open for people to see for themselves. I mean, it's no different than the electronic stores that we know today, but it felt much more personal, I guess. And there were separate rooms for for separate showcases. You had a room dedicated to appliances, you had a room dedicated to video, which is where they had VHS players, video cassettes, and this newfangled device called a DVD player. I think you might have heard something like that, right? But anyway, they also had a room dedicated to video games. But here's the weird thing. They didn't actually showcase traditional video games like the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis. No, what they actually displayed were CD-based games. So they had stuff like the Jaguar and the Sega CD. And wouldn't you know it, they had Sonic CD available as one of the games on display. But here's the thing, I didn't know anything about Sega CD. Or Sonic CD for that matter. So when I saw the game in action, I was just baffled. It didn't look like a sequel to me. It looked more like an expanded Sonic 1 or Sonic 2 game. Like I'm looking at this going, wait a minute, this is Sonic 2 or Sonic 1? What? I was just so weirded out. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. And unfortunately, I didn't know the name of the game at all because every time I went to the store, there was always somebody playing the game, so I couldn't see the title. And whenever I grabbed the game, or when I had control of the game, I just couldn't. I had to play the stages. It's not like I'm going to kill myself in order to see the title screen. There was nothing around the kiosk that said what the name of the game was. I don't know why. But anyway, I wouldn't learn more about Sonic CD until way after. Not too far forward, but eventually Sonic CD did get a port on the Windows 95 platform. And it just so happens that I had a Windows 95 and my dad was actually cool enough to buy me the game after he saw it at a store. And that's where I learned about Sonic CD and I got to see it in action and I finally got to play it all in its entirety. And yeah, the game was fun. Although I'd be lying if I said, I was very dedicated to it. I really wasn't. It's a great game, but I never really found much appeal in it. I guess I was more obsessed with Sonic 2, although more Sonic games never hurts. But yeah, that was how it was for me and Sonic CD. Looking at it now, this game is really good. There's a heavy debate on whether or not this game, or Sonic 3 and Knuckles, is the best one. Truth be told, they're so different that I really can't say which one's better than the other. Sonic CD's whole concept involves time traveling. And by time traveling, it allows you to explore more areas. And also, time traveling allows you to alter the future. Like if you go into the past and you destroy certain mechanisms, you might actually get a good future. And if you're able to get the good future in every map, you'll get the good ending. Although there is another way to get a good ending, and that involves going through these bonus stages that I'm actually doing. Actually, one thing I want to point out, these bonus stages in the HD Remastered is far better than the Sega CD version. If there's one improvement that Sonic CD did on the HD version is the bonus stage. Because originally in the Sega CD version, these bonus stages ran pathetically terrible. Like the frame drops are massive. I believe the game would drop down to like 15 frames per second. It made jumping on these UFOs so much more difficult because your timing was thrown off. And it didn't help that the graphics looked so awful. Like it was so pixelated, it hurts. It was trying to replicate the Mode 7 effect, but it was doing such a poor job with that. Thankfully, and I do mean thankfully, this was fixed in this version of the game. Oh, more time, sweet. One more, come on. The objective of these bonus stages is to hit the UFOs. Sounds easy, but in later bonus stages, they actually become harder to hit because they become unpredictable. It's made even worse by the fact that if you hit the water, time goes quicker. It'll go down to 0 much quicker. Come on. There we go. Nice. That's sound effect. I have a friend who plays Mega Man X, and every time he gets a heart container, I hear that sound. I'm not crazy. I hear that sound. I almost want to believe that Mega Man X stole that sound effect. And nobody can tell me otherwise. Ooh, this song. I love this song. One other cool thing about this game has to be the soundtrack. The soundtrack definitely fascinates me a lot. Because it's not just, where do I begin actually? What's the best way I can actually say this? Oh, let me deal with this boss first. And this boss is so easy. And actually, that's the one thing I can complain about Sonic CD. The boss battles in Sonic CD are so freaking easy. I have no idea why there was no challenge to them. And in that one, all you have to do was get behind Robotnik. Boom. There we go. We're off to a good start. Collision Chaos. Oh, and you get to see an early version of Amy Rose, who at the time was called Rosie the Rascal, I think. Oh, and here's a little odd thing. Oh, here's a very odd tidbit. In the Windows 95 version of Sonic CD, the instruction manuals actually call Amy Sally. This was their attempt to try to connect the video game series to the cartoon, like they wanted the same continuity. It made no sense whatsoever, which is why people keep misunderstanding, or there seems to be a misunderstanding on whether or not the games actually take place in Mobius. Just to clear the record, they don't. The Mobius world only exists in the cartoon canon. Mobius has never been a thing in the Sonic series, or the games I should say. So if anybody, points out, oh, Sonic lives on Mobius, I'd be like, yeah, in the cartoons. But in the games, it's always been Earth. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can't tell me otherwise. Oh, here's an easy part to go into the past. Yeah, going into the past involves having to run at high speed, but make sure you don't stop. Because if you do, that little signpost that you pick up will go away. So you gotta make it or break it. So anyway, the one thing I want to point out about Sonic CD that I like the most about it is the soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack definitely fascinates me. It's not just the fact that, there's a region difference in music, but more on the fact that there's a lot of effort that went into the music itself. See, because this game came out on the Sega CD, they were able to take complete advantage of CD quality here. No longer were the artists actually limited to the sounds of the Genesis. No, now they could actually construct the song the way they wanted to. And the way they did it was to take a lot of influence by a lot of the 90s music. You can hear, just by this game alone, just how much of that 90s influence there is. Even more interesting is the fact that, because there was a lot of influence behind stuff like electronic dance music and hip-hop, they actually went out of the way to include some samples, which is actually, it's never been made clear, but I suspect that part of the reason why the soundtrack went through a change, like when it came to the American release and the Japanese release, was because the Japanese soundtrack used a lot of samples. And if I'm able to point out some of those samples, I will, because there are some interesting tidbits here, including regarding the soundtrack itself. But first, another bonus stage. Let's see if I could do this. It'd be very interesting if we had a Sonic stage that played out entirely like this. Not just the bonus stages. I want to say that maybe Mania will have something like that, but that's just me spitballing. Nice, nice. I'm actually doing a much better job at this now. I usually struggle in these bonus stages. All this Mode 7 just makes me want to go back to playing F-Zero all of a sudden. Oh, crud. Oh. There we go. That's a Sonic sound effect, not a Mega Man sound effect. Yeah, just listening to this music is just so wow. Like, this is not the stuff you would hear in a Genesis. Actually, what I love about the Japanese soundtrack, like I said, it just embodies the 90s feel. So much electronic dance music, hip-hop, the usage of its samples. The American soundtrack isn't too bad, but it does take a far different approach. The American soundtrack went for a more soft rock kind of approach. I don't know if soft rock is the best way to say it, but there was a bit more emphasis on the rock. It wasn't stylish, it was just, progressive type music. It's not terrible, but it's definitely lacking compared to the Japanese soundtrack. However, the man behind the American soundtrack, Spencer Nielsen, is a pretty talented man himself. You see, because while I may not like his American soundtrack for Sonic CD, he's done some incredible composition. Oh, well, the only one I can really think of is he actually had a hand in the Sega CD's version. He worked on the soundtrack for Echo the Dolphin, the Sega CD version. And that music, the music in Echo the Dolphin is just so ambient. There is a lot of influence. If you actually pay attention to Echo the Dolphin for the Sega CD, there's a lot of influence to Pink Floyd. Actually, Echo the Dolphin is riddled with nothing but Pink Floyd reference. There's a stage in Echo the Dolphin called Welcome to the Machine, which is actually a song from one of Pink Floyd's albums called... I'm trying to remember the name of the album. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, I believe it was called. So yeah, a little interesting tidbit there. But yeah, do check out Echo the Dolphin. The game itself is pretty good. But if you want to hear the music, I highly recommend the Sega CD version because it is so beautifully ambient. It's like a mixture of Pink Floyd and Enigma. A little tricky to get around here. There we go. Come on. Oh, what? Oh my god. Forget it. I'm gonna go down. Oh, watch it. Yeah, I'm just listening to this song again. It just has so much style to it. If I could go into the past, I'd explain a little more of what kind of sample is being used. Because the past version of this song actually has a sample from this song called James Brown is Dead. Well, actually, that's a little debatable because some people have told me that it's not so much a sample, but it's using a common sound that was used in the 90s. So as far as things go, I would say it's plausible that it could be a sample. There we go. I'm actually trying to do the bonus stage run here because I do want to get the good ending here. If I don't end up getting it, well, it's no big deal, but I'm just doing this for fun. And now we're at what looks like an Atlantis location. What? I could have hit that. Yeah, this looks like a utopia. It's weird because a lot of the locations in the bonus stage look like they could be a stage all its own, but they're never really shown. Oh, crud. Gotta watch it. Two more to go. Oh, man. Yeah, I screwed it up. It's done. What is even up with those time stones? They're just Chaos Emeralds, just given a new name. Really, at this point, they're just MacGuffins because, well, they don't really serve much of a purpose other than to give you a new ending. The Chaos Emeralds at least gave you something. If you got all 7 in Sonic 2 and 3, you become Supersonic, which enhances your abilities. But here, nothing much, really. Oh, this boss battle song. Something I should point out, this song in particular houses so much samples. I think the most common knowledge one here, the one that people know the most, is the lyrics. You hear the lyrics, they say, work that sucker to death. Come on now, work that sucker to death. That's from a song called, oddly enough, Work That Sucker to Death by Xavier and George Clinton. What some people don't actually know is the drums, the percussion, if you listen carefully, is actually sampled from a song called Can't Go For That by Hall & Oates. I thought that was interesting. But there's a lot more. The next time I face off against Robotnik, I'm going to try to pick out another sample that I've heard. What I find cool is that the samples that you hear here, you can actually hear some of those repeated in Jet Set Radio. And when it comes to Jet Set Radio, that soundtrack is phenomenal. Hideki Naganuma, the man behind that soundtrack, is a genius when it comes to sample workings. I really love his music. I do try to go out of my way to find all his songs. If you follow, there's a YouTube channel by the name of Funky Dealer. It's not actually Hideki Naganuma, but that guy actually does manage to post a lot of rare Hideki Naganuma tracks. Mainly because Hideki Naganuma does have a SoundCloud account. So if you don't want to listen to the SoundCloud stuff, you can always go to Funky Dealer. Oh, one very interesting thing I want to point out. I might have already mentioned this before, but there are some differences in the GameCube version of Sonic CD. See, when Sonic CD was released on the Gems collection for the GameCube, some alterations had to be done. And one big alteration is the water segment. You see this segment? Whenever you're in the water, there's actually a change of color. That's the filter that you get from the water. Here, it's got like this neo green color to it. When you're in the future, the filter changes to red. I forgot the other colors, but for whatever reason, in the GameCube version, the filter is gone. It's just clear water, which is a little weird because I know some people who love Sonic CD were upset that that was removed. That's the only big change I can remember from the GameCube version. I can't remember if there was any other changes, but that's the one that stands out to me. Now we're at like a city line. Look at this. It's like the city of the future. Which makes sense considering this is, of course, Sonic CD, which is all about time traveling. But what is up with the black water? Come on. Man, this is so hard. But trust me when I tell you, it's much harder to do this on a Sega CD. Here, it's all reliance on your own skill. There we go. Come on. Nice. Oh, man. Oh, boy. It's over. I can't do it. Nope. Couldn't do it. Man, this song is super eerie, but also pretty chill. I like this song. Not my most favorite, but I like it a lot. This song definitely has that hip-hop inspiration. You can hear it in the drum beats. It's got that nice rhythm. It's so sleek, so cool. Actually, I like to look at this stage as a pseudo reimagining of Tidal Tempest. Or, I'm sorry, Tidal Tempest to me looks like a pseudo reimagining of Labyrinth Zone. There we go. That's what I meant to say. Uh-oh, I think I'm gonna drown. Nope. I'm actually weirded out by the fact that there is no song playing when you're about to drown. That's always been the most iconic thing about Sonic. You hear like the drowning music, oh snap, you gotta get going. But here you just hear a little warning sound. So it's not quite as tense. You don't quite get the same tension from the other games. You get freaking scared like when you hear that drowning music. But yeah, this does feel like a reimagining of Tidal Tempest. I'm sorry, why do I keep saying Tidal Tempest? I mean, Labyrinth Zone, you know what I mean. Just gotta keep going upwards. See what I mean? This is something you would see in Labyrinth Zone. Being pulled back, grabbing onto the pipe, dodging the little mine traps. Yeah, this is totally a reimagining. I think Sonic CD is supposed to feel like a much more expanded reimagining of Sonic 1. I mean, that's how I like to look at it. Some people tell me it's like a full-fledged sequel, and yeah, it is. But to me, it feels like this is like an expanded Sonic 1 type game, just with more elements. Whoa! This is trippy as all hell. I forgot about this. God damn. I'm kind of glad I'm not wearing my contacts right now. Jeez. This could be a little distracting. Come on. Yeah, these bonus stages can be an absolute challenge. Ooh, nice. Just 3 more to go. Oh no, I'm running out. Oh! Oh, can I do it? Can I do it? Yeah! Oh, I thought I needed one. I thought that was the last. Oh, snap. Oh! Ah! I miscounted. Wow. What's with this weird electronic music? I love it. It went from being an eerie, calm type music to this dangerous electronic music. That's what happens when you get the bad future. For this part of the boss battle, all you gotta do is hit Robotnik just enough times here so that he can open the door for you, so that he can escape into this water segment. Oops. It's really not all that hard. Listen to the drum beats of this song. That drum beat is probably one of the most sampled sounds in music history. There's this thing called the almond break, which uses the almond break is a song that, well, not a song, a segment of a song where one of the music artists there goes into a drum solo. That drum solo made history, or I should say that drum solo went on to become the most used sample out there. Jet Set Radio uses a lot of the almond break. And I'm sure if you listen to any hip-hop music, any digital music, you might actually hear the almond break itself. You know, this boss battle is very interesting. That's the one thing I can actually say about Sonic CD. While the boss battles may be really easy, they're very creative. I love the fact that in order to get to Robotnik, you have to grab those bubbles in order to actually stay alive underwater. It's such a cool idea. Sonic got through Zone 3. Ah, this is my most favorite song in the entire soundtrack. I love the percussion in this one. Listen to the percussions. That drum is going crazy. Like, I'll let you listen to this more. I love that piano chord. Ah, so chill. I mean, it does have energy, but it also has a sense of chill to it. Like if you were to slow this song down, you could turn this into a really cool aesthetic sound. Continuing on with the Japanese soundtrack information, I actually didn't know about the existence of this Japanese soundtrack until way after I had learned more about Sonic CD on the internet. However, I did hear a small glimpse of the Japanese soundtrack when I was able to get this game for the PC called the Sonic & Knuckles PC Collection. You probably heard of that. It's basically Sonic 3 and Knuckles but on the PC, and it's somewhat the same, but the soundtrack ended up getting changed for one reason or another. But hidden in the files of that CD was the actual Sonic CD soundtrack, but in really poor quality. It was like really terrible. I think I might still have that CD. I'll see if I can boot it up and try to find that song one day, and just to reconfirm whether or not this is something that happened. I think those songs were used as part of like the screensaver collection, where you can use because the Sonic PC collection came with like a boatload of pictures. A lot of pictures, a lot of animations. It allowed you to install like these little cool little animation trinkets so that you can like basically it allowed you to decorate your computer with a bunch of Sonic themed stuff. You can even have music playing, and the music that they had included was Sonic CD, although it wasn't named Sonic CD, it was hidden somewhere in the files. But when I found out that that was the actual Japanese soundtrack, I was actually able to customize my Sonic CD music to include the Japanese audio. See, one interesting thing about Sonic CD on the PC is you can actually customize the soundtrack. All you really needed to do was put the MP3s in their proper place, like rename the file, like delete the music, put in your MP3 and rename it the actual name of the song itself, and then when you play through the game, it will play that particular song in place of what it was before. I used to do that a lot, like I would customize it with a bunch of songs. But if I were to tell you what songs I actually picked, you just cringe, because let me just say I had really terrible taste in music back then. Like, we were all kids once. Once upon a time, Linkin Park was popular. Oh, jeez. I'm sure the Linkin Park fans are going to be like, you want me? Here's another interesting boss battle. All you gotta do is run. See, by running, the treadmill will start to pick up speed and it'll actually scrape the bottom of Robotnik's pod, or whatever that thing is supposed to be. But the one trap you gotta be careful with is this thing, because if you're underneath it, it'll drop right on your head. Let's see. I have no idea if that guy singing the lyric portion is a sample, because I can't figure out where it's from. Hold on. Oh, that sample. The selecta. You can hear a guy going, DJ, hit the selecta. That's a sample that was actually supplied to, I should say, it's a sample that comes from the CD that was released by Norman Cook. You might know Norman Cook. He's better known in the music business as Fatboy Slim. He released a sample pack that included a lot of sound effects and noises that became very popular in a lot of DJ music. Heck, if you listen to Jet Set Radio, half the samples from that album is nothing but Norman Cook samples. But anyway, that selecta part comes from this album called Skip to My Loops, I believe it was called. And among some of the stuff you can hear Skip to My Loops are, you know, like hit the selecta DJ, or I believe there was also another Norman Cook sample that had We Do Not Understand the Concept of Love, which of course ended up being used as The Concept of Love, one of the most popular tracks in Jet Set Radio. I thought that was pretty cool. I have to wonder, since Sonic CD and Jet Set Radio use the same sample pack, I wonder if that's Sega that distributes those samples over to their composers. I mean, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that's the case. Now we're on to Wacky Workbench. True to its name, this entire stage is somewhat wacky. in the sense that you got to be really careful getting through this area. If you go too high, you'll have to jump down and make it through the platforms here, but if you go too low, you'll end up getting launched up to the sky. Basically, you got to find the middle ground here. Otherwise, you really can't progress much. Not my most favorite stage, but it's a creative one. That's the one thing I can say about Sonic CD in general. Everything about this game is creative. It's a very different take on the Sonic series. It has more platforming. It has more to do with platforming than it does speed, although speed is one of the elements that is used here. I mean, you gotta run fast in order to travel through time. A la Back to the Future. And speaking of Back to the Future, one of the achievements here is actually a reference to Back to the Future, 88 miles per hour. And you get that if you just simply run really fast and travel through time. So yeah, it never hurts to have a really cool Back to the Future reference anywhere. However, this stage can be very tough to travel through time, because you're not given much leg room to run fast here. And even then, it's kind of tricky to find those signposts with the future past signposts. Really tricky. Just trying to stay on my middle ground, and I gotta be really careful here because I don't got much rings on me. Well, I have no rings to begin with. Alright, now I'm safe. Just gotta make it through. Lots of platforming. Yeah, it's pretty much all you gotta do here. Jumping, platforming. Try my best not to breathe too much into the mic. I still don't have a pop filter, so forgive me if I'm making too many plosive noises. I tried to put the mic closer this time because, well, in my Sonic 2 Let's Play, I sounded a little distant. Nonetheless, though, I'm trying my best to be informative here. Like, I may not be the most extravagant Let's Player, but I can sure as hell try. Here's an easy way to go into the past. Just jump into that circle when you got the signpost, boom, you're good. One interesting thing about this level, and I did not know about its existence until the HD Remastered because of the achievement, there's actually a hidden room in this stage. I don't think I'll be able to find it because it is very hard to locate it, but there's actually a hidden room that if you find it, you'll be met with a goddess statue who supplies you with an endless supply of rings. It's those little touches that I like about this game. It really does emphasize a lot of exploring. And exploring is important because in order to get the good future, like I said before, I'm not sure if I actually did say it or not, you gotta find these devices. You gotta find the Metal Sonic hologram, and you gotta find this weird looking machine that once you destroy it, you basically corrected the future. No longer does Robotnik take over the world, but now you're in a peaceful utopia. Ah, that's like epilepsy waiting to happen there. Another bonus round. Let's see if I can do this one. Looks like future Egypt. Even the water's all grid. Like, this is like some sort of retro future kind of look. Like, welcome to the 80s. This is the future. This looks like the kind of stuff you'd see in a street, like those street performers that like to paint the outer space stuff. Like the ones that are able to paint in a matter of seconds, like this beautiful, like, planetary landscape. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. Come on. Nice. There's always an extra one out there. Oh, you know, maybe I should just skip the bonus stages altogether. I only got 3 time stones. It's not like I'm gonna be able to get the good future at this point. And true to the Bad Future sound, this time it just sounds like we're infiltrating Robotnik's lair. Now, this boss battle is probably the hardest one out of the bunch. Not by a long shot. All you really gotta do is avoid these platforms, stand on them, this magnetic device will activate, and then you just gotta make your way to the top. Simple as that. Yeah, I cannot understand a single word this guy's saying. Well, I probably could understand what he's saying if I tried and pay attention to that, but oh, crud. Okay. I cannot afford to make any more mistakes at this point. Alright. You know what's funny? I already pointed it out before, but the sample that they use here is Work That Sucker to Death. Would you believe me if I said I actually thought that they were saying Work That Sonic Jam? And this was before Sonic Jam came out on the Sega Saturn. I legitimately thought they were saying Work That Sonic Jam. Come on now, Work That Sonic Jam. So when I saw the game Sonic Jam, I was like, oh, is that the reference? I don't know. Maybe? I mean, it's a huge coincidence, but still. That's what I thought as a kid. Ooh, Stardust Speedway. This is everyone's favorite music. For good reason. Just listen to this song, man. It's a party. Oh, wow. I just effortlessly went into the past. What is up with that vocal? Okay, here's a very interesting thing about this stage. Those panels. Hitting the panels will actually alter the way you travel through this stage. Hit the panel for the backside, you'll be able to go through the backside of the platforms. Let's see. Just gonna avoid those bugs because they can be a little annoying. See, panels facing the backside, so that means I can actually go through the backside of the road. And true to its name, Stardust Speedway is exactly what you would think it would look like. It's a speedway that's under a starry sky. It's a beautiful stage. If anything, this stage gives me a very Starlight Zone vibe. Like I said about Title Tempest, this stage feels like a reimagining, a pseudo reimagining of Starlight Zone. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think this is supposed to be a huge reimagining of Sonic 1. Oh, and now we're back to the party music. I love this song. There's a lot of interesting samples in this song. Let's see if I can remember a few. That sample, Turn It Up! That comes from a song called, the song's called Fantastic Freaks at the Dixie, performed by Fantastic Freaks. Ever since that sample has been used in a lot of places. I know Fatboy Slim used a lot of that Turn It Up sample in a lot of his music. Even Junkie XL has used Turn It Up in a lot of areas. Again, it all just goes back to the fact that Norman Cook's sample is used by a lot of DJs. The percussions, the drum sample, actually comes from a song by Casey and the Sunshine Band called Let It Go Part 2. And the Hit It sample, I know you hear that one, the one they go, hit it! That's from a song called AJ Scratch by Curtis Blow. I know that because I actually have some of those music in my MP3 player. I love listening to like the origin of the samples. This part's a little tricky. Just gotta make sure you move in the right direction. There we go. Gotta find the right exit. There we go. Oh, and the chords. The actual chord of the song, the one that goes dun 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 dun, dun, that's from a song called Walk the Walk by Shack Attack. Oh, this song! This is a very iconic song. You know what's coming up ahead. It's gonna be the race between Metal Sonic. One of the most iconic moments of this entire game, easily. In fact, it's so iconic that it was finally referenced, or I should say the entire battle was recreated in Sonic Generations. And the Sonic Generations remix of Stardust Speedway The Bad Future is amazing, because it gives it a very nice Spanish tango flavor to it. Like, it's such a weird way to remix it, but hey, it's total genius. But yeah, this song on its own, it's amazing. I love this song a lot. See, it's got that hip-hop influence. It's got that dance music influence. It's such a cool amalgam of everything that you could love about the Sonic music. I'm going to try to focus a little bit because this race can be tricky. And if you're too slow, Robotnik will kill you in one hit. Why he doesn't use that attack in other areas, I'll never know. There we go. You're not fast. Bonus points if you know that reference. Aw. Amy will always love Sonic, but try as she might, she'll never be able to marry him. I do not ship this. I just find it cute. Every time I hear this song, all I can think of is Metal Sonic's All-Star ability in Sonic All-Stars Racing. The moment I hear that, all I can think of is the announcer going, "Hey, Metal Sonic's got the All-Star!" And probably the dumbest line of them all is when Ryo Hazuki gets the forklift. "Hey, watch out! Ryo will flip you like a cheap burger!" Oh god. The announcer is definitely the cheesiest thing about Sonic All-Stars Racing. But hey, you can't not hate it. Or I should say, you can't hate it. Man, I am flopping up a lot here. Okay, point being, the announcer is lovable. You can't hate him. So anyway, back to Sonic CD. This stage, like I said with the previous stages, feels like a reimagining. And this time, it feels like a total reimagining of Scrap Brain Zone. It even has the same spinning platforms. Yeah. I think I've convinced myself more and more that Sonic CD is just basically an expanded Sonic 1. I guess I wasn't wrong when I was a kid. Shubba-da-bop-bop-bop. Metallic Madness. In case you didn't already know, every stage are alliterations. Palm Tree, Panic, Quartz Quadrant, Metallic Madness. What is this game trying to be? Donkey Kong Country? I mean, Donkey Kong became famous for its use of alliterations, but Sonic did do it. Man, those lyrics are weird, man. I'm hearing this guy rapping and I'm just like, what is he trying to say? This stage, I want to say it's a tough stage, but it really isn't. You just gotta progress as carefully as possible. There's definitely not as much traps as there were in the first Sonic game. Yeah, Scrap Brain Zone will still be a very notorious stage for me. I'm already getting nightmares from it. At least with this one, it's got a fantastic song to go with it. Oh, crud. These freaking bombs. Just gotta be more careful here. I feel like I just went in a giant circle. Please tell me I didn't do that. Yeah, I did. Unbelievable. I guess you can get lost in this game. I didn't have troubles when I was playing this the last time. Okay, that's better. See, look at those lyrics. Those turntable samples, yeah. I'm loving the energy of this stage, or the music. Am I going the right way? I feel like I'm doing this completely wrong. Okay, now we're going the right way. Just gotta jump on these pads, or whatever they're supposed to be in order to move forward, because you're gonna need this to jump up into a lot higher ledge. Oh, crud. Alright, I'm good. Uh-oh, Tiny Sonic! So adorable. I'm surprised there's not a lot of stages that take advantage of Tiny Sonic. You only get to see that in this stage alone. And it's only for this segment, too. Ah, crud. Those moving springs. Come on. Good. Almost there. Just gotta be careful with this area. Ah, that's a trap. If you go there, you'll end up going through a big circle. Alright, now we're back to normal. Alright, just gotta make it through this part. Oh, I was... Oh, no! I can skip this part if I just jump it right. There we go. Nice. Ooh, shibba-da-ba-ba-ba, shibbity-beep-beep. I don't know what they're saying. Oh, this song. Just listen to the lyrics. This guy's like, yeah, 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 yeah. I can't do it. He sounds like a very gruff Fat Albert. Well, Fat Albert's already gruff to begin with, but you know what I mean. Actually, one thing I like about this song is that it actually uses a very interesting, it uses... Oh, man! Well, I have 11 lives. I think I'll live. You know what? Hold on a sec. Let me take this. There we go. I should be safe now. Yeah, listen to the drums. That's an Almond Break sample right there. It's commonly used in a lot of other music. Gotta be careful here because there's a bottomless pit here if you're not careful. There we go. Just gotta wait for the spikes to go through. Just gotta deal with this. Oh man. I forgot how difficult these... Well, this isn't so much difficult, it just involves good timing. Okay, now we're at probably the easiest final boss battle you'll ever encounter. I mean it, this is easy. You can even abuse your invincibility just by getting hit. Well, actually, you know what? Let me not get too cocky here. And I ended up getting cocky. Let's see it. Hold on a sec. Hold on. I hate to be quiet, but I have to focus just a little bit if I want to actually try to get through the stage just fine. Oh crud. Man, this... Oh, man! Wow. Okay, I'm gonna try my best not to sound like DSP, because I know DSP is famous for just saying wow for every death, and that's just something I ain't gonna sound like at this point. Ugh. Oh my god. Hold on a minute. There's a oh man, oh man, oh man. These rotating bits. Ah! Oh man. I don't want to be frustrated right now. There we go. Good, good, good. There we go. Perfect. Nice. So as I was trying to say, I love that sample where you hear like that robot going like, you can't do anything, so don't even try. Get some help. I love that for some reason. It's just so cool. Alright, hold on a minute. Sonic Dead or Alive. Nice. Now we're at the final boss, and let me try not to be so cocky this time. But yeah, I'm not lying when I say he is pretty easy. You just gotta time it right, make sure not to get hit by those boxes. Honestly, I have no idea what they're supposed to be. I almost feel like you're supposed to get deliberately hit by those things, because I can't figure out a way to hit it without getting hurt. He's only down to 2. We're good. Then he's gonna shoot those things off to try to hit you. There you go. Oh, I should not have jumped. Now when he's down to the last box, he's gonna start bouncing around. And you just need to hit him one more time. Come on. There we go. Nice. And that's, well, I don't want to say the entirety of Sonic CD, but that's a basic playthrough of Sonic CD. Sonic managing to rescue Amy from the clutches of Eggman, escape from Little Planet. Kablooey. And finally, Little Planet is free. Oh, I love this part. Check this out. I love this a lot. This is the only reason I love the bad ending. How does Sonic defeat Eggman? By throwing a rock, of course. That is a hell of a swing. Forget being a hero. I think Sonic should be a baseball player. I love that. This is the other song that ended up getting altered. Just like with the intro, the outro has no lyrics. It's just a shame. I love the lyrical version. Big Island. Oh, Naoto Oshima is Big Island. Huh. So, oh, wow. I guess I just learned something new. Check my first playthrough. You'll understand what I'm talking about. I should say my playthrough from Sonic 1. I saw somebody named Big Island. Like, who the heck is that? I love this animation. I think I already said that one too many times. I mean, this is the best way to showcase Sonic. I mean, I don't think there's been any other animations that showed Sonic the best way he, like, or I should say, they've never shown Sonic. Let me see if I can reword that, because I'm having a tough time bringing up words. This animation showcased Sonic at his finest. I don't think anything has ever come close to this. I think the closest we'll get is the OVA, and even then the OVA does suffer from a little bit of off-modeled moments. But if anything, you know, I want more of this. I really do. Look at that. That is so freaking cool, watching Sonic and Metal Sonic race. The only thing we ever got in terms of like a Japanese animation for Sonic is Sonic X, and well, I'm not a big fan of Sonic X. The first 2 episodes were great, but the rest of the series was like, all of a sudden the budget just dropped and the show just ended up looking awful. Whatever. So anyway, I thank you very much for listening to me ramble on. I am doing my best to make a good playthrough here. I was certainly able to explain a little bit about my history here, although there is a lot that I couldn't cover, but, well, that's what I get for trying to do an improv here. I need to get a better mic. But anyway, like I said, thank you so much for watching this if you took the time out of your busy schedule to watch this. Tune in next time. I'll be playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Maybe. Oh no, little planet. It was all hologram.